Efe Ajagba's boxing career almost never was. The Nigerian in his youth was an avid footballer, and as he told Complete Sports Nigeria in 2015, it was his first love. But later he realised without connections in football, you can't make it. He recounted after all the disappointments, one of his friends advised, and I quote, "With my height and strength, that I should switch to boxing. I remember I used to cut firewood and also work in a bakery. You know, getting involved in such tasks, one must have the strength. Like I said, I love football very much, but because I didn't have the connections, I had to switch to boxing." In 2018, a different explanation of how Ajagba got into boxing emerged in two separate stories on the Premier Boxing Champions website, with it being reported a fight with a bodybuilder prompted his move to boxing. Ajagba had been splashed with some water by a woman, who then laughed at him, and the bodybuilder who was with her let it be known there would be trouble if he stepped any closer. The then 17-year-old Ajagba fired off a right hand at the bodybuilder, who collapsed in a heap. The story recounts Ajagba was scared, that witnesses thought he'd killed the man. He tried picking him up, splashing some water in his face with the same bottle that started the fight, and later the man was admitted to hospital, his left eye swollen and bloody. Ajagba says, "That's what did it. You can say that's what launched my boxing career. I never met that man again. From there, that made me switch from soccer to boxing in 2011. I went to the local boxing stadium and asked to speak to the local boxing coach, and I remember him looking at me from eye to toe. He didn't think I was serious. He asked me to come back the next day, and I did." But Ajagba's father did not like the idea of his son boxing, encouraging him instead to concentrate on bakery work, even going as far to tell his boxing coaches to stop training him. But an agreement was reached which would allow Ajagba to continue his boxing while working at the same time. Within 3 years, Efe Ajagba was making waves on the international scene, earning a spot on the Nigerian national team for the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Scotland, going on to beat Junior Farr and Paul Schaefer en route to a bronze medal in the super heavyweight division. The success led to an invite to the home of the Nigerian president, where the success of Nigerian medalists was celebrated, which included being given a stipend, which in Ajagba's case allowed him to focus on boxing full-time. The following year, he won gold at the All-African Games in Congo. He later won gold in 2016 at the African Boxing Olympic Qualification Tournament in Cameroon to book his place at the Rio Olympics. At those games, Ajagba advanced from the round of 32 with a bye. Then in the round of 16 he produced a memorable knockout against Nigel Paul, starching him in the first round. But he was knocked out of medal contention after losing to Kazakh Ivan Daichko, who used his height and movement to outpoint the Nigerian. Daichko would go on to win bronze. The Olympic performances attracted the interest of veteran manager Shelley Finkel, who told PBC, "I saw some footage of him. I thought he was a really special heavyweight. He's so calm under pressure, he's big and he's a giant puncher, a really big puncher." Finkel ultimately signed the prospect to a professional contract, and Ajagba began training under Ronnie Shields in Houston in 2017. Shields says, "I googled him and saw his Olympic fights. I thought, man, this kid has all the tools it takes to win the heavyweight championship of the world. That got me really excited. I told Shelley, hell yeah, I'll work with him. All I have to do is polish him up. He has a powerful right hand, but his left is just as lethal as his right. He doesn't have all his man strength yet since he's just 24, He reminds me of George Foreman in a power sense. Again, in the power sense. We're going to take our time with him and make this a process. We're grooming this kid to be champion of the world for a very long time. And he's a hard worker. He doesn't know when to stop. He wants to be a world champion. He wants to show his people what he's capable of doing. He doesn't want to go back to Nigeria without a championship belt.
Efe Ajagba, 235 pounds for this 2016 Olympian, 235 pounds.
Professional bouts, 4 of them have been done in the first round. So he likes to bring an end to opponents in quick fashion. And Curtis Harper has walked out of the ring.
Wait, what?
I cannot believe this.
I've never seen this before.
He walked out of the ring.
He's not fighting this guy.
He walked out of the ring.
I've never seen this before in my life.
After the Curtis Harper fight, Ajagba and his camp claimed the real reason Harper walked out was because he was scared and didn't want to fight. The result of Harper's walkout was worldwide attention, with broadcasts around the world running the bizarre incident. Suddenly, a guy known to Nigerians and hardcore boxing fans alike previously was on the radar of more sporting fans. People were asking, who is this 6'5" fighter with a staggering 88-inch reach? Ronnie Shields would later say, I think it was very positive for Efe. I'm getting calls from people I don't even know, people who didn't even know I was working with Efe. People are really excited about him now. Efe talks the part, looks the part, fights like the part, and he is the part. After the fastest win in history where he wasn't required to throw a punch, Ajagba was back in the ring a month later against the as then unbeaten Nick Jones.
That's it. He ain't gonna even last the whole round. Knock his ass out. Oh, yeah. Knock his ass out. No, good. That's it.
Efe Ajagba ended 2018 with 7 knockouts on his record, and of course a strange and bizarre disqualification win to his name. With just a dozen rounds under his belt entering 2019, questions remain about how well can he take a punch, how will his stamina hold up deeper into a fight, can he adapt if things are not going his way, and how much has he really learnt so far from 7 first-round wins. Efe Ajagba told PBC, "I have plenty of time. My time is not now. My time is ahead and I'll continue to box hard." Also, he told PBC in September, "It's Deontay Wilder's time and not mine. I'll be ready to fight for a world title maybe 2 years from now." There is certainly a lot to like about Efe Ajagba, with his straight punches, his athleticism, his power and improving technique. Under the tutelage of Shields, he is making progress and improving his craft. 2019 looks set to be another year of development, with 2020 more likely for a raid at the top of the heavyweight division. By then, he is likely to have been moulded into an increasingly formidable contender. I hope you've enjoyed this inaugural episode of The Rise Of, and more similar videos will be on their way.